Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
Start blogging yourself?
Because I was getting frustrated with the American media who would write things about General Motors that were manifestly untrue, or they would report negatively on the products using erroneous facts. Because what you have to understand about the American press is the American press is the only press in the world that doesn't like its own cars.
Okay.
Because the German press is always very enthusiastic about German. The French press loves French cars. The Italian press loves Italian cars. The American press hates American cars, and maybe we deserved it. I don't know, but I mean, when they start writing factually wrong stuff, like the Chevrolet Cobalt is the only car left in the world with rear drum brakes. It was written by the Wall Street Journal, and you write him a letter to the editor and say that's not true. Here are 16 European and Japanese cars that also use rear drum brakes. It never gets published. So I found that the only effective way to strike back at biased or inaccurate media reporting is finally the victim has a voice. First time in history that the power of the conventional press is somewhat reduced because the person or company being written about has a chance to put the truth out.
Do you trust North American bloggers and the blogger community more than the traditional press? Would that be a safer statement?
I think bloggers are all over the place. I mean, some of them are factual and some of them are way out in left field, and when I look at the replies that I get back from the blog, it ranges from congratulations on having the courage to tell the truth, and it's high time somebody did that, and it's high time that somebody set things straight. And then you get other messages that say, you're totally stupid, we don't believe you, General Motors builds junk, and so forth. So you get all that, and you have to sift through it and separate the valuable stuff from the sort of 20% that's just vicious. I mean, if you look at any area of blogging, there's probably around 20% of the bloggers, whether it's political blogs or any other blogs, are just plain destructive. I mean, they're just angry people who have
now have a voice in a forum. So. General Motors has posted a 6% increase in sales in its last quarter. Would you find that some of that credit could go to the outreach that General Motors has done to this blogger community? It seems that the blogger community is more about reaching the everyday consumer, where traditional press is reaching the car aficionado. And would you say that that's part of the increase?
Well, I would say it would be hard to isolate it, but I think the fact that we are demonstrably willing to communicate openly and directly without a filter, and my stuff is not written by the PR guys. Occasionally I will admit, if it's very sensitive subjects, I run it by PR guys, and they will say something like, we would prefer if you not refer to the competition as stupid. Please change the word to misinformed. So occasionally I have to tone it down a little bit, but usually it's at least 99% my writing, my words, my ideas. And I think this transparency of communications, or you call it outreach, I think has helped to begin to change the perception of the American public away from General Motors as this big evil corporation that we can't penetrate and can't see into, and I think it's putting a much more human face on General Motors, because that's what we are. We're just a bunch of guys and females working hard, trying to produce better cars and sell them and make people happy. So And the more we can open ourselves up and show that side of the corporation, I think the more we can change attitudes towards General Motors.
And that'll translate to hopefully sales.
Well, ultimately it translates into sales. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to say, gee, I read Lutz's blog that makes me feel much better about General Motors. I'll run right out and buy a Chevrolet. I mean, it's not quite that. I wish it were that direct. Then I'd spend all my time on it.
Do you think every member of the board should have his own blog?
No, the Fast Lane blog is also used because I don't have time to create enough content for it myself. So we have other members of management and other members in the technical community who can write pieces for it. What I like best is the little video clips that we can put on, because it saves me the problem for writing. And what we'll do is we'll collect a series of typical questions or comments that surface repeatedly in the replies to the blog, and then we categorize that, and we name that maybe 5, and they put me behind a TV or in front of a TV camera, and the interviewer or I read them myself and say, okay, question number 2 is, and then I look into the camera and it's spontaneous and unrehearsed. I just give the answer, and those seem to play well, and it's easier for me to do than to have to sit there on the I do them all on the BlackBerry. I'm very bad at, when I have a whole keyboard I have to go, but on the BlackBerry, for some reason, I can type very fast. So I do it all on the BlackBerry, but these small video clips do save me a lot of time, and it adds the visual element, which I'm sure that just about everybody can see those.
You ever use your BlackBerry when you're driving your car? I know text messaging.
I'm not going to admit it, but depending on the road surface, you can, and traffic, you can steer with your knees, and you can BlackBerry away. Now, the real trick is sending emails out of the helicopter.
Okay, I don't have a helicopter, so.
Yeah, that's when it works okay as long as you're all in lowercase.
Okay.
But if you have to go to high case, then you have to push this capital button and then hit it and then decap, because it can't get your other hand on it.
Oh, okay. Doesn't really work that well.
No, it's tough, and it's you can only do it under certain circumstances, and it's not recommended.
No. Another thing, you talked about the competition. There's one question we're dying to ask. You already spoke about a super Corvette that's going to blow the competition out of the water. So, where is it?
Well, it's we haven't confirmed that it will be built, but I certainly have driven a prototype the other day, last week as a matter of fact, and it's pretty spectacular. Pretty spectacular, and you just have to. We will probably make an announcement on that fairly soon.
I wanted to talk about the Chevy Volt.
Good.
Opel Flexstream, Corsa Hybrid. Now we're to the bring it back to the Chevy Volt. Some statement has been made about 60,000 units possibly being sold in its first year. Is that a number that you feel confident is attainable, or do you think it's attainable?
It's the number that I've put out.
Right.
And
so I want to talk a little bit more about that.
It's not necessarily the number that everybody in the company agrees to, and we have yet to put together a formal investment proposal. And this program is completely different from the way we normally work at General Motors, or any large car company. The way it usually works in a large car company is you have an idea, then you do very accurate cost and investment analyses. You plan the production capacity. You have a very good idea of exactly how many you're going to make. You have very precise idea of what each vehicle is going to cost and how much you're going to sell it for. And you can do the whole numerical analysis ahead of time before you start developing the car. This one is completely different. We don't know what the batteries are going to cost. We have some idea of what the vehicle is going to cost, and we're just charging ahead of doing the vehicle before doing the numbers. So, and we're going to try to get the cost as low as possible. And of course, the battery is a huge part of the total cost, and that's a component that we have to wrestle with. But we're literally creating the car before we know for sure whether the numbers work. And if the numbers don't work, then it'll be more like 10,000.